Hi Year 9s, and welcome to your first video on statistics skills. In this one we're going to look at interpreting graphs, and it's really more about interpreting statistical information in general. So for this one we've got a report here about water quality in New Zealand. We've got a sort of a graphic with some information here. We've got a pie graph, and we've got this map of New Zealand, and all of these things are giving us information. So we've got some questions here that down here that we need to answer, and so we're just going to go through these one by one and try not to spend too much time and just answer them in the most straightforward way possible. So the first question is asking how many lakes were monitored altogether, and some of you might think, well, I could go through and count those. That would be quite hard. The pie graph doesn't help because it's in percentages. But in this table here we can see that there's a bunch of numbers and they're showing the numbers of lakes with each amount of nutrients. So we simply need to add those together. So that would be 13 plus 25 plus 21, 44, 13 and 18. Okay, so I guess we need a calculator to make short work of that. Bring that down so we can see it. So 13, oops, let's try that again. 13 plus 25, 21, 44, 13 and 18, so 134. So 134. So the question is being asked in words, so I should really answer it in words and say 134 lakes were monitored. Okay, so our next question is saying which region in New Zealand had the lakes with the worst water quality. So we really are looking for ones that are saturated with high nutrients and where there's a lot of them. Now in the South Island we're quite lucky to not have too many like that. There's a few there around Christchurch, a few in the Waikato, and a few in Auckland, a few in Northland. Now it's probably between these two, either Waikato or Northland. So it's a bit of a judgment call here really, because we can probably see more red dots in Waikato, but there's a lot more lakes in Northland and a lot of them are orange. So you could probably get away with saying either region, so long as you backed it up with some sort of reason. So I'm going to go ahead and say Waikato, and I'm going to say, because it's got the most lakes with saturated with nutrients. So Waikato, because it has the most lakes that are saturated with nutrients. Okay, so the next question down here, number 3, it's saying what can you say generally about the water quality in the lakes along the Southern Alps? Well, if you look at all of these lakes, they're all light blue or blue, which means they have low nutrients. And so that's simply all the question is asking for. So lakes in the South Island, in the Southern Alps, tend to have low or very low nutrients. So see, I've used language there, tend, which says that basically means that usually, but not necessarily always, and that's basically the case here, that most of them are bluish, but not all of them. Okay, question 4. What percentage of our lakes had a low or very low level of nutrients? So low and very low, they add up to 38, and so it's going to be 38 out of 134 as a fraction. And to turn a fraction into a percentage, we times it by 100. So let's do that in our calculator. 38 divided by 134 times 100 gives us 28%. Okay, question 5. What percentage of allocated water was used for household, commercial and industrial. So let's see here, we're probably looking at our pie chart. So here's our public water supply, and commercial and industrial will be manufacturing processes, and so that's going to be those two, which is 20%. So for question 5, 20% is used for household or commercial or industrial use. Okay, so yeah, quite a long video there, apologies for that, but I just want to really highlight there that when you're interpreting graphs and graphics, that you've really just got to look at, you know, the thing as a whole, but also focus in on little bits and pieces as you go, and just answer it in a common sense manner. So there's some questions for you to practice. Exercise 30.02. Have a go at those and see how you get on.